To you, Stephen. As you can see behind me here, voting still underway, with this being one of the more popular voting stations here in Discovery on the West Rand. It is exactly what I was looking into yesterday, visiting so-called coloured suburbs like Rivoli, Bosmont, and indeed elsewhere here in Johannesburg, where voting patterns have not only changed there, with no one party really being the mainstay in those areas. Areas like Eldorado Park as well, but we've seen the emergence of a party by the name of the Patriotic Alliance that has really done well in previous by-elections in a lot of these different areas, and has got to do with exactly what you just mentioned, Stephen, change in voting patterns due to migration. Around these areas, places like Florida, Discovery, Roodepoort itself is seeing influx from so-called former coloured areas, places like Vleerhof and Eldorado Park itself. Let's hear from Theo Stoddard, the ward representative and ward council candidate for the Patriotic Alliance. He joins us now. Theo, this is something that we're beginning to see in this local government election in terms of changing of allegiance. A lot of areas like this, I mean, has been solidly if you could call it that in the Democratic area, white and conservative. We're seeing these voting patterns change.
Most definitely, yes. Thanks, Nickolaus. We predominantly you would have this as conservative white area, but over the years, places like Vleerhof has expanded, and then you had people moving in from other areas into Discovery and this Roodepoort area. What would be also interesting to note is that over the years, we haven't only seen that coloured families came in and established themselves, but what have happened though is that they would have had children, and their children has grown up and are voting age now. So in as much as, yes, we moved over many years and started moving from the early 2000s, so maybe even before that. A lot of the young people and children from then has become adults now, and they also now are voting age, so able to make a decision and able to cast a vote.
Mr. Stoddard, the Patriotic Alliance has tried to paint itself as not the coloured party, but the colourful party. What are you hoping to try and bring to an area like you've just said that has been very sort of traditional white conservative?
What you need to understand is that when you refer to the term coloured isn't just, that's why we say colourful, is because coloured isn't just made up of a specific race. It is a combination of different races. You look at white, black, and Indian. The combination of those is coloured. Even in our, when we show the 3/5, when we speak about Patriotic Alliance being the last hope, we show the 3/5 with the 3 different colours. The combination of those colours make up the colourful party that we refer to.
So Theo, I'm going to let you go there and try and bring in another ward candidate here from the traditionally white conservative. At least it's been a party that's been associated with that voting bloc for many a year. It's beginning to change this local government election. Luke Ensign from the Freedom Front Plus. How do you deal with something like that, with voting patterns changing, with people migrating from so-called former coloured areas, former black areas, into areas like Discovery or Florida? What do you hope to achieve this local government elections when you're facing these challenges as the Freedom Front Plus?
Good afternoon. I can guarantee you that the Freedom Front is going to come out of this election much stronger than it went into this election. We embrace all races, all genders. We have absolutely no problem with people moving into areas that might be seen as traditionally white areas. That doesn't play a role anymore in our country. And I am positive we are going to come out of this election much stronger than we went into this election.
Really a new thing for the Freedom Front Plus, though. I mean, it's all in the name. It was founded as the Vryheidsfront. It became Vryheidsfront Plus when you had Dr. Mulder in charge. You're trying to broaden your appeal this local government election?
No party will not broaden its appeal. It is of absolute vital importance that we broaden our appeal, and we also know that in South Africa the majority of people belonging to whatever group all fall into a minority at the end of the day, and the Freedom Front Plus is there to look after and protect the rights of each and every individual and the minorities as such.
Mr. Ensign, thank you very much for the time on Newzroom Afrika. We'll leave it at that there, Stephen, but it's an interesting aspect to this local government election. We're seeing a mixing of areas and the disintegration, quite thankfully, of the aftermath of the Group Areas Act and indeed apartheid as well, with areas that were traditionally seen as white and conservative now becoming far more colourful, as Theo Stoddard put it there earlier. But Stephen, we'll be heading to the biggest voting station in South Africa next, Joubert Park in inner city Johannesburg. We'll see whether or not there are any queues there as we try and see whether or not there's an increase in turnout. It's been pretty poor thus far with those numbers coming through from the IEC to date.
Nickolaus Bauer, thanks very much indeed. Indeed, very interesting dynamics around the end of apartheid spatial development, or the beginning of the end of it rather, coming from these local elections.